This machine can see in total darkness. Pitch black, no lights, no camera flash, nothing. And it sees better in that darkness than your eyes ever could in daylight. It doesn't wait for light to bounce off the world the way a camera does. It brings its own light. It fires hundreds of thousands of invisible laser pulses every second, and times how long each one takes to come back, down to the billionth of a second. From nothing but those timings, it draws a live, three-dimensional map of everything around it. It is not a camera. It does not take pictures. It measures distance directly, with a stopwatch and a beam of light. And that exact trick is spinning on the roof of self-driving cars, hiding in your robot vacuum, and sitting in the notch of your iPhone right now. Forget the whole device for a second. It all comes down to one pulse of light. Here's the entire idea. The machine fires a tiny burst of laser light at something and starts a stopwatch. The light races out, hits the object, and bounces back. The moment it returns, the stopwatch stops. Now we know exactly how fast light travels, about 299,792 kilometers per second. That's a constant. It never changes. So if you know how long the round trip took, you can work out the distance, because distance is just speed multiplied by time, cut in half because the light went there and back. That's it. That's called time of flight, and it is the beating heart of LiDAR. The name even spells it out: light detection and ranging. Now hold on, because there's a catch that should stop you cold. Light is absurdly fast. In a single billionth of a second, a nanosecond, light travels about 30 centimeters, roughly a foot. So if a wall is 15 meters away, the round trip is 30 meters, and the whole thing is over in about a 10 millionth of a second. To measure distance to the width of your hand, this machine has to time an event lasting a fraction of a billionth of a second, and get it right. That is the real engineering miracle here, not the laser, the clock. LiDAR is basically the most ridiculously precise stopwatch ever mass-produced, small enough to bolt onto a vacuum cleaner. And one measurement gives you one dot in space, one exact point at one exact distance, which sounds useless on its own. So how do you get from one dot to seeing an entire room? You fire again and again, and you aim each pulse in a slightly different direction, sweep the beam across the room, up and down, side to side, hundreds of thousands of times a second, and every pulse plants another dot at its own measured distance. String all those dots together, and you don't get a photo, you get a shape. A dense cloud of millions of individual points, each one a real measured distance in three-dimensional space. That's called a point cloud, and it is what LiDAR actually produces. A sculpture made of light. You can spin it around, look at it from any angle, measure any part of it, because it isn't a flat picture, it's the actual geometry of the room. A chair reads as a chair-shaped cloud of points. A person reads as a person, in full 3D, even in a room with the lights off. That is why a self-driving car can know a cyclist is exactly 18 meters ahead and closing, in the dark, in a way no ordinary camera can. So how does it aim all those pulses so fast? The original answer is beautifully blunt. You spin the whole thing. On top of a self-driving car, you'll see a can-shaped turret whirring around. Inside is a stack of lasers and detectors physically rotating, often 10 times a second or more, sweeping the beam a full 360 degrees around the car. That's why early self-driving prototypes looked like they had a spinning bucket bolted to the roof. Your robot vacuum does the exact same trick in miniature. That little raised dome on top is a tiny LiDAR turret spinning away, mapping your whole floor plan, so the robot stops bumping walls and starts driving in clean, deliberate lines. Same physics as the car, shrunk to the size of a hockey puck and sold for a couple $100. Spinning works, and it works well, but it has an obvious weakness, and that weakness is pushing the whole industry somewhere new. The problem with spinning anything is that spinning things wear out. Motors, bearings, moving parts, they're expensive, they're fragile, and they eventually fail. So engineers asked, can we steer the beam without physically turning the device? That's solid-state LiDAR, and it's the future. Instead of a spinning can, It uses tiny steerable mirrors, or fires the laser everywhere at once, and reads the whole scene like a flash. No big moving parts at all. Cheaper, tougher, smaller. And you're almost certainly carrying one. The LiDAR scanner on a Pro iPhone is a solid-state, flash-style sensor. It floods the scene in front of you with a grid of invisible infrared dots, and times every single one coming back. That's how your phone can measure a room. Drop a virtual couch on your actual floor so it sits at the right size, and snap portrait mode focus in the dark. Same core idea as the car's roof turret. No spinning bucket required. Tucked into a notch next to the camera. Here's where it gets contentious, because a car has 3 ways to sense the world. And the whole self-driving industry is fighting over which to trust. Cameras are just eyes. They see color, read signs, spot a red light. But a flat camera doesn't truly measure distance. It guesses depth from patterns, and it's helpless in the dark or in glare. Radar fires radio waves instead of light. Radio has long wavelengths, so it punches through fog, rain, and snow beautifully, and it directly measures speed. But its picture is blurry, low resolution. It can't tell you the crisp shape of things. LiDAR sits in between. It gives you the precise 3D shape and exact distance that cameras can't, working perfectly in total darkness, at far higher resolution than radar. So why not just always use LiDAR? Some companies bet exactly that, loading cars with it. Others, most famously Tesla, ripped it out and bet on cameras plus AI alone, arguing that if humans drive with 2 eyes, a smart enough computer can too, and LiDAR is a costly crutch. That debate is still live, and it's really a debate about how much you trust software to fake the depth that LiDAR just measures directly. Before the catch, one detail that shows how wild this gets. Strap a LiDAR onto a plane and fly it over dense jungle. Most pulses hit the treetops, sure, but fire enough of them, and a few always slip through the tiny gaps in the canopy. Hit the actual ground, throw away every point that hit a leaf. Keep only the ones that reach the dirt, and you get a bare map of the ground as if the entire forest had been peeled away. Archaeologists have used this to find whole lost cities. Under the Guatemalan jungle, LiDAR revealed tens of thousands of hidden Maya structures, causeways, and pyramids sitting under canopy that people had walked over for centuries without a clue. No digging, no bulldozers, just a laser stopwatch firing through the gaps in the leaves. So it sees in the dark and finds lost cities. It sounds like magic. It isn't. Here's everything LiDAR is quietly bad at. First, glass and mirrors. LiDAR sees by catching its own light coming back. A clear window lets the beam pass straight through, so it returns nothing. The glass is invisible. A mirror bounces the beam off in the wrong direction, so the sensor sees a phantom room that doesn't exist. Robot vacuums are famous for this, sailing straight into a mirror or a glass door. Second, weather. Heavy rain, snow, thick fog, all of it is full of tiny droplets, and each droplet scatters the beam or bounces it back early. So the sensor gets blinded by false echoes. This is radar's whole home turf, and exactly why cars don't rely on LiDAR alone. Third, dark and matte surfaces. A deep black, non-shiny object soaks up the laser light instead of reflecting it, so little or nothing comes back, and the object can nearly vanish. Fourth, the boring ones that decide products, cost, and moving parts. Good LiDAR has been expensive, and any spinning version has bearings and motors that wear out and fail. Cheaper, tougher solid state is fixing that, which is exactly why it's taking over. LiDAR is a spectacular measuring tool, but it is a measuring tool, not a superpower. So here's the whole thing. LiDAR doesn't look at the world, it pings it. It fires a pulse of light, times the echo down to a billionth of a second, and turns that timing into one exact distance, one dot in space. Do that hundreds of thousands of times a second, in every direction, and the dots pile up into a living 3D sculpture of everything around it, drawn entirely in light, in perfect darkness. Spin it on a car roof, shrink it into a vacuum, flatten it into your phone, or fly it over a jumble, It's the same idea every time. A laser, a stopwatch, and the speed of light. Not a camera. A machine that draws the world by measuring exactly how long light takes to come home. Subscribe to Whambox for more how does it actually work explainers.